source where I've contributed some tracks. And today I have something very special in mind. I want to take you on a trip. The goal is really to make the James Bond theme that is heard in the Nintendo 64 version that comes after the logos. So I think you all know it. I had to re-listen it a few times just, so I exactly know what I do or where it's going through. But it's just very prominent, this da da dum da da dum da 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 da. It's just the basic thing, And this is really what I want to do this time, and I want to make it with all details. I have previously done a making of already, but it was pretty short and brief, just the very basic things, and I was in the middle of the project already, and now I really want to take you on a trip how I do a track from the very start. So what I obviously did so far was I have listened to the original gun barrel theme and the thing that comes afterwards, because in the James Bond movies you have the gun barrel, and then usually it does this da 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 ring or something like that, and then it's done, and then the movie fades in and it starts something else. But in the game it continues, it's where the figures are actually introduced, where you see Bond turning around and Zukovsky is laughing and stuff like that, and it continues, and that's exactly the track I want to build today. And the very first thing I really want to tell you, like everything, this is going to take a little longer, but if you bear with me, this is, I think, for you fans who really want to know how the music is made, this could be very interesting. So the first thing I'd like to talk a little bit about the music. Obviously this James Bond theme is one of the most complicated things to do. Not in terms of the composition itself, it's pretty easy. I mean, the James Bond theme is one of the easiest yet most recognizable themes on this planet. But the very beginning, this da da dum da da dum da 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 da, this is so difficult to make because obviously I want to start with the sounds. So I've been making music for about 11 or 12 years now, so I have a little bit of experience. I never had a classical music education or something like that. I'm a self-taught musician, and so I can't give you facts, but I can give you things the way I see them. And what I like to start to point out at the beginning, I often get the question. I also want to incorporate questions that I get from time to time, a little bit in this video, so they get really answered also as I'm working. A question I hear a lot: do you actually record with an orchestra or is it a computer library? Of course, this is one of the greatest things you could say to me, because of course I don't have an orchestra. I mean, I don't have the money to actually hire players or musicians, and even if I had the money for that, I couldn't afford the whole studio, a recording hall where you could record an actual orchestra. So I'm bound to technical limitations. That means what I often get is freelance composers who just started or are in the business quite a time and still make the same mistakes. I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but it comes across your way all the time. Because what I often hear is composers who whether they can write good music, but the sound is not good, or the sound is very good and the music, the themes, and that is not well made or mixed together. And because you are limited technically, of course, there are so many libraries out there and so many possibilities nowadays, so you can get good results, but you have to invest a lot of time, in my opinion, in that. It doesn't just come out of the box. That's a mistake I often see here nowadays, is that people just buy expensive software expecting it to sound perfect out of the box without no work in something. And of course that's not going to work, because if you hear samples online, of course they sound great, yeah, but there are technicians behind that who work hours or days on it to sound right. And that's basically what I do, and that brings my answer to the question, why does some of my orchestral sounds actually sound authentic and good? Because I spend a lot of time in doing so. If you take, let's just take any orchestral library nowadays, some people get it. They think, okay, I bought an expensive software, it's going to sound right. And they just pick sounds randomly, and that's not going to work. For example, if in a contemporary orchestral library, you have like, let's take the brass section, which is very hard to fake. Still nowadays, there are very good libraries, but still very hard to fake. Or let's take the strings. For example, the staccato. So staccato is just a very short note, huh? But there are like 12 or 13 different ways this can be played and sound. And you have variety. You can put the microphones where you want them to be. You can adjust reverb. You choose the room where they're played. And so many things you can tweak and change. And if you don't do that, you're just going to have a sound mess at the end. Nothing is going to work together. And that's what I think is very important. And so that's where I spend a lot of time with, just picking the right sounds, or just hours and hours just testing around, because it's not only the sound itself that matters, it's also the sound in the context of the whole thing. That's important. And now back to the James Bond theme. So you have this da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da, and that's where I see a lot of composers, they make big mistakes, because that's one of the hardest, trickiest thing to fake or to play on a computer, because you have one problem. It's a mixture between staccato and not staccato sounds. So we have like da 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 da. So you have different expressions, and of course you have stuff today like heat changes, but you can't change them as fast and it won't sound good. And if you just take staccato sounds, you will have da 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 da. Doesn't sound good at all. If you take marcato, which is slightly longer, which is more of a you will have a huge mess with it will sound crappy too. So I've spent, like I said, I've been making music for 11, 12 years now, and I would say it was 2 or 3 weeks ago where I actually spent a whole afternoon just in figuring that out, and I found a solution that is quite okay. I like it. It sounds good. Okay, it's a good mixture between it sounds right, but it's not overblown. A little bit overblown, but since you have technical limitations with the software, still nowadays you have them. You have to figure a way which is the best solution, best blend of these things.